Hello, hello, everybody. It's Pavla here from Infinite Vitality. Some of you might know me, some of you don't just yet. I am an energy healer, transformational energy healer, and supporting a lot of women on the journey through life, helping them coming back to their wholeness. And I have this beautiful pleasure and honor to have Jamie with us. Jamie, welcome. We've got some wisdom to share with you all. Tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? Let's start with that.
Well, first of all, Pavla, thank you very much for having me. The honor is definitely mine. So wonderful to be here with you, sharing some energy, sharing some wisdom, as you were saying. A little bit about myself. A lot of the work I do is currently in the, you could say, the primary school, the secondary school and teacher space. I do a lot of work as a health and wellbeing coach. So working a lot on the mindset, on the leadership, and on the character building of the wonderful young people we have out there. And but also a big passion of mine is working with parents, so to speak. That's you could kind of say it's one of my most favorite, sort of parts of wellbeing, or one of my favorite elements is working with parents and just having a chat like we'll be doing today, and getting a little bit of Q&A, a bit of question and answering happening, and just having some fun with it, seeing what we can come up with to hopefully offer some tools for anyone that may need one. And that's what it's all about.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I love how this creation came together. So it's been very spontaneous, and both of us are parents. Both of us are living very different lives, but all comes back to the kids. Yeah. And how can we all be the best versions of ourselves to bring the most beautiful, healthy, confident little beings into this world. And so this is very close to my heart too. And let's start what you see we've talked about before. Let's start with the parents' point of view. Often, and especially, I guess it's different stages. I wanted to say when they are little, we worry too much. There's too much fear. But I guess when they reach the teenage years, it becomes different worm of cans, can of worms. Oh goodness, there you go. That's how on top of it I am. So when it comes to parenting and fear, what do you see in your kids that you work with? What do you see in parents? What are they? What's the fears? What are the worries?
Well, that's the beautiful thing, Pavla. I get to see kind of both sides of it. And I'll tell you right now, there is absolutely zero fear coming from the kids themselves. Zero. But all the fear is definitely coming more on the parental side, which is a totally normal, common human being thing to have or to feel. Yourself as a parent, as a wonderful parent that you are, myself, we all feel these things. We would be not human if we did not feel. And also, if I must add there, the beautiful thing about that fear is we understand it's coming from a place of love. Originally, it's because we love these little humans so much. We're so attached to these little humans. We don't want anything to happen to them. So it's actually coming from a beautiful, beautiful place. But unfortunately, it's not serving. That's right. 100%. It's not serving because, then it gets into our mindset a little bit, and then it comes out in different ways oh my God, what could happen to them? Oh my God, should I let them out? Oh my God, how about on the way home from school? Oh my God, they've got to catch a bus on public transport. So these things, then now it's turned from, love and protect and nurture and guide and cultivate. It's turned into fear, as you were saying. And the mind has a beautiful way of turning love into fear. So we just have to, the one thing we can do is always be aware of that as parents and understand that it is, first of all, totally a normal human being thing. Second of all, it's a wonderful thing because it's letting me know that I love this human being and I'm so attached to this human being so much. I care so much that's why it arose in the first place. So that's the first step, acknowledging first that it's there, that it's normal, it's a wonderful thing. Now we just have to learn how to work with it or make it work for us.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. And, you know, if you look at it from the energetic point of view, first thing I tell my clients, myself included, throughout my days, you know, keep it simple. Like attracts like, right? And so if we go out there and worry, and of course the kids, they sponge it in, they feel it, and they become it. Yeah. But if we worry, this is what we attract. That's like that. That's the universal law. Like attracts like, if we keep it very simple. And so I love what you said, you know, like the emotions, any emotions we get are just our little messengers. What are you showing me? And so we work with them. Absolutely. And what I like to do in my sessions, like, let's go even deeper. You know, where's the fear coming from? Where's the fear coming from? And usually when we look into the energetic system that governs our body, the chakra system, however we decide to label it, the root chakra, which is the first chakra in our body, is responsible for us feeling safe in the world. And it gets created as early as conception. So whatever, and so I don't know if I'm going too deep into it, but maybe just a quick understanding, because I love this about human beings, about our being, because once we get to understand, we can take responsibility and we can change the story, and nothing can control us. So once we take the fear and understand, oh, where is it coming from? And we start analyzing, okay, maybe when I was growing up, there wasn't that loving, supportive environment in the family. Maybe mom was really anxious. Maybe she wasn't feeling love. Maybe there was a lot of pressure when she was pregnant, whatever. And so from there, the child, the parent, they are taking it as the child is the next generation, right? That's when we want to like to disconnect. Okay, let's change the story. It's new chapter, new generations that we are building moving forward. So once we can, as parents, acknowledge that within ourselves, once we can own our own story, okay, this is where I came from, this is the behavior I have. Yeah, fear is triggering. Okay, why? We discover, we remove it, and we start again. And from there, we change our beliefs, we change our patterns, we change the way we see the world. And it's just this beautiful journey, just owning it, you know, owning it in life. And that translates on our kids. And that's fucking powerful. And that's what I'm so passionate about. I think that's where we need to take it. That's where real change happens. So how does that sound to you? What do you want to add to this topic?
I love that. And I love your passion, and I love how raw you are, Pavla, as well. I love it. And that's the beauty of what we do. You know, yourself as the beautiful energy healer that you are, and myself as you could say, the mindset coach, is all these things work together, which is why yourself and myself, we can collaborate and do these things and come up with some amazing responses, which is awesome. The first thing that came to my mind when you were talking about, you know, back to our chakras and our energy, and I was like, and you're saying we can start from scratch. We can start almost like from a blank canvas, so to speak. And
that's the reset, yeah, resetting the blueprint, starting the story again. Absolutely.
And we talk about it on a mindset level, you know, flicking that switch. And you talk about it from an energetic level, coming from the chakras. It's all the same, all the same thing. And what I love, but the first thing that came to me when you were talking about that and doing the reset, if we can reset and take a step back and look, okay, for example, how have I been parenting up until now? Okay, with that fear, and we can just sort of reflect on that. So what can I do? And this is a little pointer here. What can I do a little bit better? Because it's not about once we reset and having that blank canvas that we're all of a sudden going to be this perfect parent, because it's never going to happen, Pavla. Not yourself, not myself, not anyone out in this whole entire world and universe. It's just not going to happen. Perfection does not exist. What we can do is we can be on the hunt for perfection, the hunt for perfect parenting, while we're understanding at the same time that we're not going to get there. But that's the beauty, the hunt of it, knowing that every day I'm going to get that little bit better. Every day, I'm going to get closer to that goal of being perfect. But in the background, we have a little laugh because we know we'll never be perfect because human beings are not perfect. That's what makes us so wonderful. So what we can do is think to ourselves, okay, for example, have I been a little bit hard on my kids? Or have I been putting them maybe a close second to myself when maybe I should be putting them first and me a close second to them? Maybe that's where my conflict is coming from. Maybe I'm having some inner turmoil because my kids, in a way, and this is hard to say, Pavla, but my kids in a way might be getting in the way of what I need to do or what I want to do. So how can I flip the script on that? Well, the first thing that comes to mind to me is I've got to be devoted. We talk about devotion. We talk about prayer. We talk about so many other things about being devoted 100% to something. What if I was devoted 100% to the little human beings in my life? And then anything else that happens is irrelevant because that's my number one priority and will always be. So if I'm on a night out, and I'm out enjoying myself and all of a sudden I get a call because I've had to go attend to my children, well, then all of a sudden it's not like, oh, drats, I've got to go get the kids or something's up and, you know, now it's getting in the way of my free time or what I'm meant to be doing. All of a sudden it's like, oh, no, I've got to go. That's priority number one. That's where I have to be. That's where my kindness and my service goes first. My service to others goes to my children first before anyone or anywhere else. Then all of a sudden, wow, there's no conflict.
Interesting perception. I've got a little bit different take on that.
Love it. Hit me with it.
Yeah, I really truly believe from my own experience and the way I choose to do things now in putting myself first. And I know that my son, without a fail, always reflects back to me, you know, always. It's like the mirror. He's my mirror, and I can't get away with shit because when I know that I am out of balance, when I'm out of alignment, I get cranky, I get shitty, I get impatient, all that. He's like, no, sister, no, I'm not putting up with that. And so I need to go back to myself. I know what type of a parent I am when I'm aligned, when I do my work, when I create that space for myself. But I need to come first. That is my look at it. And of course, if there is emergency, if something happens, of course you go and you are there. That's what parenting is, yeah. But I really feel by giving our attention to somebody else, we are depriving ourselves. We are depriving ourselves and we are becoming dependent on them. Our happiness is dependent on their happiness and vice versa. And that's not healthy. In my mind, this is how I look at things. So once we can kind of really be grounded in what we are, who we are, and own it. And there's those tricky days too when we need to have those conversations and say, hey, I'm sorry, today I'm really sad and I just cry because I need to let it go. And there is no having to, I don't know, hide it or pretend that things are beautiful. And I feel in that beautiful rawness, allowing them to feel and see us sometimes on our knees, that gives them permission to feel too. And that's what you said before, right? That we are human as well. So I love what you're saying. Of course, parts of it, our children, they chose us. We have them so we can love them and make sure they are safe and nurtured and looked after. But I really believe that once we put ourselves first, and we do that as parents, and then we end up, you know, broken down because you just go, everybody else before you, the last one in the food chain. I did it for years. It cost me my marriage. It cost me a lot of relationships. No more.
And that's okay. And that's all part of the journey as well, Pavla. I think what you're delving into right now is a level of mastery that very few people have. And I'm aware of it. Okay. Because when we say, for example, learning about conflict and devotion, what you're doing is you've mastered the fine line. And you would have heard the saying of people saying pulling from both ends. Okay, 1 minute the answer is this, and next minute the answer is that, or sitting on the fence, because it's sometimes you've got to pull from this side and other times you've got to pull from that side. So what you're doing is you've mastered, it's called, there's an art to it. There's an art to parenting. You'll never be perfect, but there's an art to it. Yes, for a very few select percentage of people that are parenting that have so much conscious parenting, that are so aware of themselves, of their own awareness and the awareness of the children more than they have over themselves, you understand that it's all about you, because you came to me and I'm your protector and your nurturer, and I'm going to help you cultivate your life. It's all about you. But if mummy or daddy's feeling a little bit off balance, I've got to do what I've got to do so I can be the best me for you.
Exactly.
So,
And
so that
that beautiful
that's why,
cycle, yeah.
well, that's why I understand exactly what you're saying, because that's something myself I practice. If I, for example, have not done my physical workout, like I haven't done my gym work or my physical exertion to the way I need it to, the way that I know that it keeps me in balance 100%, well, then I've got to take that time out for me first. So I hear you 100%. But what we're delving into here is a thing for the masses. For the masses, see, there's a lot of conflict because the masses are like, kids are getting in the way of what people want to do. And that causes this inner conflict and this inner resentment that they're not even aware of, that it is that, like, I don't want to use the word hate, but they're kind of hating on the kids because right now they're getting in the way of what I need to do, or the work I need to get to, or the money I need to make, or the night out that I've got to have on Saturday night. So we're talking about the masses, the mindset of the masses,
Sure.
and that inner aligning of the masses. You and
And
myself
so,
maybe understand that fine line a little bit differently to the majorities.
so what would be the first step, right? What would it take to take the pen and paper and write the values? What is important, and having understanding. So let's give some tools to our beautiful friends that are watching. What can they do? You share your bit. Maybe I will share a little bit of my take and what I do, and let's see if we can offer some tools to understand and work it out and become the best parent we can possibly be.
Absolutely. Well, I think we kind of covered it in just what we both said anyway, like the tools. And this is this is the funny thing, and this is the unfortunate thing. You yourself, myself, we can't actually give anyone anything physical to say, hey, this will make it all better. As in, like, I can't give you this tool in my hand, take that with you, and that's going to solve the problem. Or I can't give you this technique, take that with you, and that's going to solve your problem, because it's always a work that the individual human being has to do.
Well,
and where does it start? And it starts in here. So we can only offer a few little words, which have already come out in what we've spoken about, but we can only offer some words of what people can try to start to do or process, for example, in their own minds, which will then kickstart that to then align everything else that you speak about. So I'm actually curious to hear about you, because I've mentioned most. I've got a couple more that I'll finish with, but I'd like you to go first for this one. So what's the first tool you would offer?
The most, I don't know, there's few, but again, I go back to what works for me, what I teach my people. Whenever we feel triggered, whenever we feel, let's take it back to the fear or becoming angry, I just say walk away, close the door, scream into the pillow, whatever it takes. There's many occasions when I was working on my triggers, and that's maybe something we can cover in our next conversation, when I just had to go and take that time to be and breathe. Breathing is powerful, just there's a beautiful practice called 7 rounds of 7 that I can share with our beautiful audience. If they want, I will attach it to the link underneath. And just breathing, so we can quieten the mind, we can quieten the nervous system, we can come back to the body. It's like, okay, everything is okay. Once we stop the noise and allow everything to come back to alignment, we can kind of feel our feet on the ground again and act instead of react based on the triggers that are trying to be seen. So that would be my number one, you know. And of course, other things, going to nature, connecting with nature, breathing, just fresh air, being out, movement, if it's yoga, if it's a gym workout, whatever that might be, just changing the story. But the immediate action that I would do when I am in a situation, walk away without saying things that we will regret later, and breathing and just calming down. It's like, okay, and taking responsibility. Oh my God, that's the biggest one. Just taking fucking responsibility for whatever is going on. This is my shit coming out. It's got nothing to do with the kids. They are reflecting, okay? And once I can own my shit, then I can deal with it. Once we have awareness, we can work it out and change the story. Okay, that's my part.
So, Pavla, what you're telling me is I've got to do the work on the 45 years that I've been here already, or physically been here already in this life form, we could say. There we go.
Yes, my friend.
I've got to fix all of that in order to be a better parent. That sounds like hard work. Come on now.
Well, what do we want? It's a better parent. Eventually the kids will leave, right? What do we have next 15 years? And then what's left, right? What's left? So what if I'm the best for me? So then I can be the best parent. And yeah, it is hard work, and it is painful at some parts as well to face it, right? Because all of us have so many stories we carry, so many energies we carry. It's our parents, our ancestors, our homelands, where we come from, you know, our own journey. What if we could let it all go? People hop off the table here in the healing room and they're like, oh my God, I feel so much lighter. One session. Yesterday I had a beautiful client here and she's like, I can't stop smiling. It's like, yes. Can we let it go and do the work, because it's so freaking worth it. It's so freaking worth it.
Absolutely.
So yes, Jamie, you can. And everybody can. That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Maybe I have. I just don't tell people. And and that's the thing. But like, there's a reason why I let you go first, because it's funny.
Because you're a gentleman.
The one thing I thank you, and the one thing I forget to tell people most of the time, and this is something with the company that I work with as well, and like I said, with the work I do, you know, with all our wonderful youngsters out there, you know, teenage and, you know, primary school, secondary school, and beyond as well, obviously. But the one thing I always forget to, what you're saying is like music to my ears, because you're talking to the master of meditation and mindfulness here. Breathe. The first thing you have to do is breathe.
The simple shit, right?
Stuff, because that's, you know, that walking away. I love that walking away, screaming into the pillow. Yeah, everyone does it in different ways. Yeah, others might just walk away, or others might just, I pause myself personally. Like the one tool that I always recommend is, before I respond, is I actually, especially in a moment, you could say where there's a little bit of conflict or turmoil, is you're talking about doing the round of sevens, but I do 4. So the most basic, simple meditation: 4 in, you know, pause, 4 out, pause, 4 in. So, you know, 4 sets of 4, and just really focus really deeply on the breath. And even once you've been doing something for 30 years, you know, my first round of meditation, I think was exactly 30 years back, when I was through the martial arts. I was first, you know, I was first made aware of what this thing, meditation and mindfulness is. And then I fell in love with it. Hence why I went that route first, and now more on the wellbeing coach side of it. But it's all, like I said, we're all linked in together anyway. The first thing we do is breathe. You just breathe, because even in that first round of 4, as you're breathing in, your response is going to be different to what it would be is if you just react just like that straight away in the moment. So, you know, to begin with, you know, people might need to do, you know, a minute or 2 minutes of meditation. Some people have time out for 5 minutes, go to the room, close the door, come back, and you're a different human being when you come back to have that conversation again, or when you're ready to deal with that conflict. And then you just get really good at it, where you can just get quicker and quicker every time. So your response time, is shortened so much that you're responding in the moment as you're breathing. So, but that's, once again, that's mastery over years. Things take time, things that you're aware of, that I'm aware of, but they take time. You've got to work on yourself every day. You've got to absolutely acknowledge. And what I love, that what you said just before, but also at the start of our little session together, is acknowledge we all carry around, let's call it nonsense from the past, what was handed down. And this is the tough one for people, Pavla. Understand that maybe you weren't parented perfectly also. And we don't say that because we want you to hate your parents. We say that because we want you to be aware of it, so you can acknowledge the nonsense that you have within you, so you don't pass that nonsense on to your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's all about. I look back in my own family and how it all spirals. The same story. And I'm like, no, that stops here. And I see I'm working towards totally different timeline to, let's say, to my sister, who I love dearly, but maybe she doesn't have the same awareness as I do just yet. And so comes back to taking responsibility, having open heart, and loving ourselves regardless, even if we slip sometimes and we lose our shit, and can we go back to the kids and say, hey, I'm sorry, that was a really tough day, and I know I reacted the way I didn't, but can we be compassionate and kind to ourselves first, and then have these beautiful moments of forgiveness? And
if you don't love yourself first, share that compassion and share that kindness to yourself first, you can't share it to anyone else. That's beautiful. Why don't we finish on that note? That was beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your wisdom. Anybody who would like to connect with Jamie, we will have Instagram links and emails and all that stuff, so you can reach out, as well as for mine. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful, and there's more to come.
I love chatting to you, so hopefully we can do this again. And I just, I love being around your energy as well. So
amazing. Thank you.
Awesome.